Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lizzie.
This is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. I think that's
Second
it.
time.
Second time. By the end of this podcast, I'll finally get that. Second time reader. Singular.
Just me.
Just Lizzie. That's good enough. Okay, we're on the Chamber of Secrets.
Woo woo.
And you just read this, so you kind of like don't have a fresh memory because you're actually in book 4 right now.
Yeah.
But you recently read this, so like you kind of know what you're talking about.
I would say probably 3 weeks have gone by. But I did a big review last night in prep. So
good.
We're good.
Review time, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over the chapters. We're going to do the first 5 chapters for this first podcast of this book. And the first 5 are The Worst Birthday. Chapter 2 is Dobby's Warning. Chapter 3 is The Burrow. Chapter 4 is Flourish and Blots. And Chapter 5 is The Whomping Willow. Can you give me a very quick summary of Chapter 1, The Worst Birthday?
So Harry is with the Dursleys in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's his birthday. He's not getting any letters.
Uh-huh.
He's so sad.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, he gets in trouble or something, and then he's stuck in his room, and then Ron and the Weasleys like break him out. Is that right?
You skipped ahead to chapter 3
Dobby
right there.
comes?
Yeah, remember, I think this chapter ends by him walking up to his bedroom, and he sees a creature that he's never seen before, which is Dobby.
Yeah, because that would make sense why Dobby's warning is a whole chapter.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really know. He was just like sad. I can't remember what else happened.
Yeah, that was
the worst birthday ever.
Yeah, it's just an intro chapter. Sometimes the intro chapters are a little bit boring, but no one says anything to his and then no one says anything to him on his birthday.
Oh, and he sees the eyes in the bush.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. He sees the big beady eyes.
Because he's like writing in the dirt.
Yep.
Or he's like singing to himself. I think he's singing happy birthday to himself, and then he's sad. I'll find it. I swear it happened.
That was a good explanation of chapter 1.
That was a terrible explanation. Don't lie to me.
All right, go on to chapter 2 because you pretty much did 3 chapters in 1.
Okay, Dobby's Warning. Dobby comes. There is a guest at the Dursleys' house.
Yes.
They're trying to impress, get a business deal.
Yeah, and it's a business deal that's going to set them up for life.
And then Harry is ordered to be silent and be in his room. And then Dobby comes and then just wreaks havoc.
Yeah.
Throws the dessert everywhere. And then there's magic happening. So the ministry sends him a letter.
Yeah.
And is that all that happens?
Yeah, pretty much. It's at the end, and then Harry's essentially imprisoned. But Dobby keeps warning Harry about something, which you kind of like learn later what it is. But he doesn't want him to go back to Hogwarts. That's his main thing. And then Harry is essentially a prisoner in number 4 Privet Drive at the end of the chapter.
Terrible.
All right, what's chapter 3? The Burrow.
So the Weasleys break Harry out of Privet Drive, and then he gets to go spend the rest of the time. Also, flying car enters the chat.
Yeah, which is great.
Crazy. So they break him out. They get to hang out at the Burrow, which is like this super cool house. And then
it's my dream house.
Yeah. They just hang out there till it's Hogwarts time.
Yep, they finally get it. Yeah. Finally get there, and they're finally happy. Oh, so is Wes. What's this? Ready? Chapter 4. What is chapter 4 about? Chapter 4 is Flourish and Blots.
Can tell you.
This one's actually easy. They just go to Diagon Alley and essentially they meet someone really famous at Flourish and Blots.
They meet Lockhart.
Yeah, they meet Lockhart.
But then also, this is when something gets put in the book. Is that?
Yeah. Okay. No, something doesn't get put in the book.
And that's Mr. Malfoy?
Yeah, Mr. Malfoy puts the book into Ginny's little cauldron.
Yeah.
Of all her books. And that's the diary.
Yeah.
Tom Riddle.
Yep. My memory definitely will be refreshed as we go through this.
Yep. I'm gonna ask you tons of questions about this, so we'll get there. And then the final chapter is chapter 5, which is the Whomping Willow. What is a quick summary of that chapter?
I love the Whomping Willow. It's so good. They crash into this tree.
Yep.
Tree starts throwing punches. The car has enough energy to like tip them out, and then they just get to Hogwarts, and the car like throws their stuff in the lawn, and then Snape comes up to them at dinner and is like, why weren't you at dinner? Or like, why weren't you on the train? And then I think that's it.
Yeah, that's perfect. The Whomping Willow chapter is a great chapter. It's an all-time chapter. When you were going through book 2, did your opinion of the Dursleys change at all?
From book 1?
Yeah.
I think I got to know them more. So I feel like I like them more for their personalities and the stuff I know now. Because like I remember the first time in the first book, I was like, they're just normal kind of. But now I feel like I know their personalities a little bit, and their house seems so fun.
Wait,
like,
you're talking about the Weasleys.
Oh.
For a second there, I was going to
scream at me. I'm a
the
hypocrite.
Dursleys. Has your opinion changed of the Dursleys?
Yes, I hate them more. They're awful.
Okay, good. That's the right answer.
Yeah. I was so excited to talk about the Weasleys.
I know we're gonna get there.
They're just the star of this book, I feel
They
like.
really are.
Fine. We'll waste time on the Dursleys. They are abusive. I was not feeling the abuse in the first book so much. Like, yes, being under cupboard's not nice, but it's a book.
Yeah.
This, I'm genuinely like, this is so bad.
Yeah. Putting bars on his windows and
And they
locking him
feed
in.
him like through a hole in the door.
Yeah.
Little vegetables.
Yeah. It's so tragic. And then
It's
Harry,
awful.
it's like wet, gross vegetables, and he gives them to Hedwig, and Hedwig doesn't even want them.
Yeah, so he's getting like half a serving too.
Yeah. I know.
He's probably skinny.
I know. He's very skinny. Maybe this is a weird question, but why do you think Harry wants to be recognized on his birthday by the Dursleys?
I think anybody wants recognition on their birthday. Except you.
You know me too well.
Yes, I
was about
do.
to say that. There's a few people who don't.
But I think just the fact that he realizes that like they probably do know, and it's purposeful ignorance. That's what I keep feeling like with the Dursleys. Like they're purposely ignoring him. They're purposely like just neglecting him. So I don't know. He's a kid. Birthdays are fun. You're supposed to get presents. And I feel like even his last birthday was so exciting. Maybe for the first time it was so exciting to him. And he got like an owl, and he got his Hogwarts letter.
Yeah,
and stuff.
seriously.
And now it's just like nothing.
Yep.
And he has friends now, and his friends aren't giving him letters.
I know.
So maybe
That's what he thinks.
Yeah. Maybe this was the first birthday where he had an expectation, and then he was actually let down.
Dang, that's actually a great thought. I had never thought about that before. Because before he really didn't care about he probably cared about his birthday, but his expectations were so low that it wasn't really like a disappointment. This year he actually has expectations.
Yeah. And like actual good friends, not just because he's not in school during his birthday anyways, where it's like, hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like he has real relationships with people now, and he's got nothing. I have a question.
Yeah.
So Petunia has history with the magical world. Why doesn't she know that you can't do magic outside of Hogwarts?
Does she?
Because her sister would have obviously had that rule.
Yeah.
And she would have grown up with that, and I'm sure she would have known.
Okay, so build a theory off of that. Let's
An
build something here.
independent thought.
Yeah. It's a great question. If she should have known about the you can't do magic outside of Hogwarts rule.
I think she kind of did, because I went like with that mindset I was reading it, and she never really said much on the whole thing about like doing magic or not, because Harry would be like, oh, say the magic word, or like stuff like that, and they would all go crazy. But I feel like she didn't really react like super extraordinary to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like she would know that.
I think she's a little bit more numb to it than Vernon is. I think Vernon is almost overcompensating because there's a part of me that thinks Vernon is so, he like saw, I don't know, not necessarily saw what his wife went through, but like his wife talks so poorly of that he wants to protect his wife of this magical world even more. So anytime the word magic is used, Petunia's like okay with it, but Vernon is the one that freaks out and is like a hissy fit over like him saying the magic word or like, you know, saying all this other stuff, doing magic or anything.
Words.
Vernon's really the nutty one.
Do you think Vernon and Petunia would have seen magic from the Potters, or did they have like no contact when they were alive?
I don't think they had contact. No, so they had contact, I think, but they didn't see face to face. That'd probably be my theory. They probably send each other stuff every once in a while. Like, you know, there's weird stuff in the books where the Dursleys send Harry Christmas gifts. And you're like, why would they send him Christmas gifts? They hate him. But they send him like trash.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they would do the same to James and Lily, which is Harry's parents. And like almost like an annoying way. They'd probably like send her an annoying vase or like an ugly vase or like, you know, some like terrible like socks or something like that, you know. So they'd probably send stuff like that, but I don't think they would really be in touch or talk that much or really like exchange letters. Just be really superficial.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would agree because if they didn't see like magic in a normal life environment, like the way the Weasleys use it, I feel like that's why they can hate it so much and it remain like such a foreign thing to them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're just like doing the dishes with the magic, you know?
Yep.
But they're like, your lot or those people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's just something weird about them for why they want to stamp out magic and Harry. And what would happen if they were actually successful in it? What would happen if they actually treated him right? There's all sorts of really interesting questions of the Dursleys about what is actually going on behind their like abuse of Harry. Is it just like flat out they're terrible people, or is there some reason for it? So maybe you'll remember as we go on through these books if there's any special details behind it.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes out.
All right, chapter 2. There's a few things I don't want to talk about there, but really all I want to talk about is what your thoughts of Dobby are.
Okay, the first time I read this book, I hated Dobby with a passion. I wasn't gonna give up reading the book, but I was gonna throw it across the room.
Yeah.
Like I could not get through it. I started skimming. He was just excruciating to me. But now I love him, I think.
Really?
Yeah, like he's such a poet. The way he speaks, like the things he says, he has so many good lines that my hatred was blinding me to Dobby's actual character. And I think also knowing the other house elves that come along, like in hindsight, I just have a better understanding of
where they
house
come
elves,
from.
Yeah, house elf ethics.
He has one of my favorite lines. He does something which I think is like good of all writing. If you could just be really simple in how you write. I like that you actually said he's kind of like a poet, because Dobby says the simplest things, but they're so profound. He says this one line that is my favorite line, maybe in the entire franchise, the entire series, where he says, "Dobby has heard of your greatness, sir, but of your goodness, Dobby never knew." I'm like,
So nice.
that is the greatest compliment. And it's just such a simple idea, and he phrases it so well. I am actually really surprised that you love Dobby now.
I think he's definitely okay. There's still things that annoy me about him because that's just the clash of the situation irks me. Like I love the art of a good argument and like where you can actually progress the thought, and they just are clashing. I don't think Harry's approaching it correctly. It just and then of course Dobby's like smashing stuff.
Yeah.
He's very emotional.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I just see him for who he really is now. And I can deal with his bad things, his bad personality traits.
Yeah, he is pretty annoying. It's a little agonizing in the second book because he like everything that goes wrong for Harry is Dobby's fault. So he just keeps trying to help in ways that aren't really helping, obviously. So it just gets annoying because he just keeps on getting in the way. And it's just like incessant. But when you read this for the second time, I think you really do truly start to like him because you know his motivation, you know what house elves are all about. You kind of understand their backstory a little bit, especially with Dobby and like why he is the way he is, why he's doing this. It's really fascinating.
I don't think Dobby was just 100% honestly trying to help him. Like, he obviously knew that he was going to wreck the situation.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me, is that he wants like the best for Harry and for Harry to live, but he knows that he's going to put him in jail or he's going to go to the hospital. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, you're just picking the lesser of two evils, but like you're also causing it.
Yeah. Now that's an interesting point. One of the first times I read this, and up until a few years ago, I actually thought that Dobby was lying about leaving his masters and not doing this at his masters. Like, he was doing this as a rebellious act. His masters didn't tell him to do this. I thought he was lying about that. I thought he was doing this under, like, it was like a double move. It was like he was really doing this under the act of his masters, and his masters told him that he couldn't do this. So I thought he was a little bit more like spy oriented, and that he was a little bit more of an evil character my first few reads. And I didn't think that like when he was reintroduced, and especially at the end of this book, it's kind of revealed that he didn't. But even at the end of the book, I was like, he was abused because he didn't fulfill his job doing this, and the Malfoys didn't want him at the school because he was a servant of the Malfoys. There's all sorts of other weird stuff that was going on.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like, he's a double agent.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought the whole first time I was reading this. And even like a few times after that, I was like, I still think he has this like double agent side to him.
I could totally see that. I feel like I definitely wasn't sure if he was a good creature or a bad creature. But because he's acting out of his own free will. Like, he's breaking his command.
Which makes him such a unique house elf, because house elves don't do that. All house elves, they obey the commands of their masters. Like, if you're in the middle of like if you're in the middle of like a cave and like your master calls you, you have to like immediately come. If you're like, you know, doing whatever you're doing, you like, and your master calls you, they're like, it's by whatever law, by house elf law, that you're required to come and like serve and do whatever your master wants, which is weird. That's wrong, but that's like how, I guess, house elf law. So Dobby just seemed like an anomaly to me. Like, I'm like, if that is the actual case, then it doesn't seem logically possible that Dobby could disobey his masters. It almost seemed bound by magic to me. So I thought there was a double agent where his master said, you know, you have to go do this, and you have to tell Harry that you're just being a rebellious house elf against your master. Because it was like I just didn't read it like he is just an anomaly of a house elf, which he really is, rather than a...
I wrote a note that I thought he had such low self-esteem.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But
that's a great point.
Is he also just like, he's either more aware or more brainwashed than the other elves? Because he's either like doing this and he's acting out of his own will, so he's like super aware and he's willing to take the risks and stuff and like actually act in the Muggle world and the Wizarding world as his own little person. But he's also like so brainwashed. I guess brainwashed. Like, I don't think they need to be like house elves. I think they can just be elves.
Yeah.
But is that just the name? I don't know. So anyways,
it's a great point, like, for what their actual name is. Is he
brainwashed into thinking that like he needs to obey, and like he punishes himself, which is like very sad.
That is fascinating. I think it's both. I think he's brainwashed to think that he's only supposed to serve, and so when he comes out of that, he's really self-deprecating, and he's really like he like harms himself because of it. So he doesn't have a lot of like the confidence, but he definitely is more self-aware than them. So it's like a double-edged sword. He
like wants to be freed though.
Yeah.
And Creature at the beginning doesn't want to be free.
No, yeah.
So that's why I was like, I think he's like a woke elf.
Yeah.
Like, what is a house elf? Or what is an elf if not a house elf, you know?
A wood elf. from Lord of the Rings,
Can
which
they
we're going to read
just-
soon.
I know, exciting. But can they just? What do they do if they're not in a house? Like, what is a free elf?
That's a great question.
Where do they come
They
from?
probably would just get paid to be doing what they're normally doing. House elf is probably their full term. There's probably maybe other kind of elves in the wizarding world. I don't know. But they would essentially do what they're doing, but they would get paid and get fair wages.
I feel like I believe in them more. I think they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, I feel like they could start their own village, be their
Nice.
own free entity, not have to clean stuff. Because I'm thinking in terms of like as a species.
Yeah, well, like what their origin is as
Yeah,
a
like
species.
what is their scientific name? Because I feel like a house elf is like, oh, it's a labradoodle. You know, like we've
Huh.
domesticated the dog. But what is the wolf? Like, what is the origin? Go back, let them be free. That's where my mind is.
I don't know if they would be classified as magical beasts, a magical being.
Magical creatures.
So there's a book called Magical. Do you actually want to go nab that?
Sure.
I'm gonna go nab this book on my bookshelf. It's called Magical Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Okay. Archie, you're gonna get it?
Yeah, I'll go grab it.
I was gonna say it's gonna take me a while.
I know.
to
It's
stand
an easy
there.
find. I'm gonna go find this so we can. Because I think the person who wrote this gave. All right, I got Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them in my hand now. We're gonna look up house elves. If house elves are in here, A B C D E F G H. Interesting. House elves are not in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, unless they're called something else. I think probably because they're magical beings and not magical beasts. I don't know what the qualification of that be for. Maybe just language. They can speak in a language. So I think they're magical beings rather than magical beasts. So I don't even know if we know their scientific name.
So then they should have higher
Yeah,
status in
they
the
should
world.
have rights. There should be like a house elf
Exactly.
liberation front or something like that.
Mhm. The other thing is Harry really trusts him too. Like he just starts
Yeah.
telling him information and he's honest with him, which is weird. Cause if Dobby came in my room, I'm like not telling him the truth, you know? And like he's just like, okay. No, I actually will go to Hogwarts. Like
That's a great point. Yeah.
that I don't like that. I would have just appeased Dobby. Whatever Dobby
Yes.
wants, Dobby gets. Okay.
Yes,
blah blah
100%.
blah. And then just do whatever you want. But I guess maybe Harry doesn't know. Like, did someone send Dobby? Or like if you lie to Dobby, is the ministry gonna know that? Like, I don't know. Like, is there something higher than that? Because he doesn't know all of the he's never seen a house elf.
Yeah, he's never seen a house elf, but there's still a point to it where Dobby was like telling him, like Harry believed everything that Dobby was saying about like, he can't go back to Hogwarts. This is the reason that he's here. So I'm exactly with you. If I was Harry, I would have just lied about the whole situation. I would have said, okay, fine. Like I won't go back. I promise. And then he's like, crossing his fingers behind his back. Like, of course I'm going to go back. It's not going to stop me. Like, how would that have changed the situation?
But does Harry know that there's no weight to that? Or like, what if you make a promise to a house elf and it's binding? That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a fascinating question.
'Cause-
Are there things like that in the wizarding world, do you think?
Probably. I would be so scared that I'm accidentally doing magic or like agreeing to
Yeah.
something and like
And that if you
Just, like,
don't
say this
uphold it, you'll like
word.
die or something?
yeah. Like, has someone ever walked up to you or like someone and they're like, just say yes. And they're like, just like we can do this, right?
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
don't give you the full sentence.
hate that.
And you're like, that's how I feel like Harry's maybe thinking. Like
Yeah.
he's not giving me everything. Or like
That's
if I
interesting.
say something, like I could just agree to actually never go to Hogwarts. Like maybe that's a legit thing that I can't lie about.
That's actually really fascinating.
I don't know.
Yeah, that always irked me a little bit about Harry in this situation. Maybe he really thinks that he doesn't fully understand magic yet, so maybe he really does think like maybe if I say that I can't go back to Hogwarts, maybe it'll actually become a reality and I can't do it. It still shows like how little he actually knows.
Yeah.
Dobby had a bunch of the handwritten letters from his friends. When was the last time you hand wrote someone a letter?
A couple months ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I was about to write one yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love letters.
Yeah, they're
Not
great.
love letters. I've never written a love letter. Actually, I probably have, and I probably like shredded it or like burned it.
Yeah,
or
everyone
something.
does that. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my best friend are both really bad communicators, so we say that like letters is a better form of communication for us because you just write more, you're more thoughtful, and that's about how much we talk is like snail mail. So we just do that.
I love that. That's great though. It's a great form of communication.
Yeah. Every couple months I write a letter.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Sometimes I pull out my typewriter and I like write a typewritten letter. Anything that feels like a little older is kind of cool. One of my friends when I was in Dallas taught me calligraphy, so I like learned how to do calligraphy. Sometimes I send like calligraphy letters to people, which are fun.
Wow.
But I'm not very good at it. But it's fun.
Yeah, and then you get the handwriting, and I feel like sometimes you can see the thought process in the letter.
Yeah, right.
Like you can't go back; it's just there. So
it's like, like there's something about handwriting that connects you to a person in a more interesting way. Like if you know what someone's handwriting looks like. Like one of my friends pulled a book off in like a bookstore that was an analysis of handwriting. And they talked about like this one little thing that like serial killers all possess. It's like a weird trait of serial killer handwriting. They all have like this one common thing. I forgot what it was, to be honest. But I remember seeing it. I was like, okay, phew, if I don't have it, I'm not a serial killer. I know that.
Confirmed by the book. I am not a serial killer.
But I love that. I like I feel like you can connect with a person more if you see what their handwriting is like. Like if you make the same, like letter G's as a person or something like that, you're like, oh, you connect with a person in a weirder way.
Yeah. They're so much deeper too, because you send a text, all you have to do is say, hey, but then a letter, you're like staring at this whole blank page that you have to fill up, or like at least a card that you have to fill up. So you're writing, and then you like, I don't know. We always just get poetic and weird. And then it's just like, that's good. Like we're not like that in real life, but at least you have the letters that I love you,
Yeah, exactly. I love that. In chapter 3, you're introduced to the lovely family of the Weasleys. What do you think of the Weasleys?
I love the Weasleys.
The best, right?
They live in a Dr. Seuss house. That's what I kept thinking.
Dang, I love that description. Yeah.
Do you know the Onceler in the Lorax, which is the greatest movie of all time? He lives in a house like that.
Slow your roll on that one.
No, I will stand by this. This is the
you
hill
just
I
saw
will
Lord
die
of the Rings,
on.
and you're gonna say the Lorax is better than the Lord of the Rings.
I don't know. They're definitely equal. Like the old Lorax show, if you go back, it's like 45 minutes or like 25 minutes. That hits hard. Like you'll probably cry. It's a great movie. It's just different, okay? They can't be.
I'll watch it and report back to you if I cry. How many times I cry?
It's so good. It's so accurate too. Let me just say, it's very accurate. But yeah, weird house. It's all like magic together. I feel like Mrs. Weasley, you get to know so much more.
Yeah. And
then the family. I just love them. They're so lovable.
They really are. There's just such a tight-knit family. I was gonna mention this before, but sometimes people when they read through the series, like I had a question to our listeners a few months ago, and it was if you can add one thing to anything that J.K. Rowling has written about the magical world, like what would you add? And a lot of people's responses are, they're different. A lot of people's responses are about this one little point in the end. I'm not going to say because you don't remember half the stuff in the end. But my one thing that I would add that I think would add so much to depth to everything is, do you know what a squib is?
Mm-hmm.
What is a squib?
They don't have any magical power.
Yeah. I think it would have been so lovely to see the Weasleys have a squib in their family.
Whoa.
Because it would have been so interesting to see that dynamic, because squibs are really looked down upon. And the Weasleys aren't going to like forsake one of their children. They're going to still like uphold the child. And it would have been so interesting to see a loving family and how a squib came about and how they really would have like treated this other child. Like he would have just been around the house doing chores with the family, not able to work magic. I think that would have been added such a compelling component to their.
Imagine doing chores
I
like
know.
with your siblings and they're magicking everything. Would that kid just go to a normal school then?
Yeah, he'd go to normal school. Yeah. They live in Ottery St. Catchpole, so he'd probably just go to the public school there. Ottery St. Catchpole is like a wizarding community. It's like a little, like they live in like a little wizarding hubbub right there. But he would definitely go to the public school. And I don't think he would be, I think he would probably go through times of bitterness. But to be honest, because he's a Weasley, I feel like he'd be surrounded by so much love that he wouldn't resent the fact that everyone can use magic around him. I think he would like integrate in the magical society really well. And
He'd probably marry a witch if we're saying the son.
probably, yeah.
Also, I think it would take away from Mr. Weasley's endearing obsession with muggles, though.
No, I think it would add to that though. Because
then
if his
but then he would know
son is,
everything.
then he could study his son and he would still mispronounce things. It'd be
That is-
so cute. Like
I don't know.
imagine him like around the dinner table talking about like everything like algebra, and Mr. Weasley is sitting there trying to learn algebra, like giddy over like this mathematical thing that he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, you know? It'd be cute.
So. I could see that. Yeah, Mr. Weasley's the best.
Yeah. But their whole house is like my favorite. There's like how everything is held together by magic, like their garden, like this little clock that she has. Like everything is just
I want
so
that
lovely.
clock
I know,
so
right?
bad. That would
So
be so
cool.
fun. But then we literally have like Find My Friends.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Like literally GPS.
Yeah, exactly. We pretty much have the clock, but it's just, find my iPhone, find my friends.
What is like the distinction? Like, why do they do magic for some things and not magic for others?
Like what? What do you mean?
Like, why is everything not just magic? Like, they just do normal human things. I keep thinking that, like, watching them exist and just live their life. Like, she's cooking, but then she'll like command the spoon to like stir something. But why is she ever buying stuff? Why is she ever going to the store if they can just make things appear?
No, they can't make food appear.
But like the tables appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, the tables are like food is you can't transfigure anything to become food for you. So that's one of I think it's like Gump's first law of transfiguration or something like that. I know it's ridiculous. I think I have that wrong. It might be his fourth or his second or something.
Okay.
But you can't make food appear. Okay.
Welcome to Nerdville.
Yeah, exactly. So
the first
they
law of magic dynamics. But this is what I keep thinking. There has to be some like hidden inventory of things that they already have that they can make appear. Because otherwise they wouldn't be broke because they can just like make new robes appear. You know what I mean? Like, why are you poor if you can just make everything appear?
They can't though. Like, what do you mean they can just make it appear? It's not like, you can make something appear out of thin air.
That's what they're doing though, right?
No.
What's happening then?
She's moving the objects around her to be able to cook stuff.
But like the other boys do that. I'm like, I swear they make a table or something happen.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But like, where does that come from? They they can make stuff happen.
No, they're not making stuff just appear out of nowhere. If they're making stuff appear out of nowhere, they're I don't think there's any spell in Harry Potter that you can just make something appear out of nowhere. You can make something, you can summon something. If I like that plant over there, I could say summon and that plant will come to me, and I can control where that plant goes wherever I want with my wand. So like she's probably doing this stuff, like she's sending the spoon over there. She probably knows this stir spell that the spoon stirs, like you can turn the spell up to high or medium or low. But they can't make anything just appear out of nowhere. If she didn't have a wooden spoon, she can't just say like wooden spoon. She could probably go to a branch and like there's probably a whittling spell that's like, make a wooden spoon. But she can't just make a wooden spoon appear out of nowhere.
This is so complicated.
Yeah, we're going to get into magical theory, a deep dive into magical theory.
Yeah,
because
I don't understand why any like wizard or witch would be poor. Because I'm just thinking like if you can just make stuff or like
But they can't. They can't just make stuff. That's why they're poor.
Then what even?
He
Why are
has
you a wizard? Like, hello, that's what you are.
They can have easier solutions to their problems. Like cooking probably doesn't take as long. Like it's probably a little bit less cleanup because she's like, I'd love to have.
So boring though. Like
Really?
magic isn't even like that's not that great.
You're glad you're a muggle.
No.
I would love if there's anything I would love for. I mean, this is literally what a dishwasher is, but for like a magical object to wash my dishes for me,
Yeah.
which is a dishwasher. I just don't have one in my apartment. I would love that because that's my least favorite thing about cooking. I'll cook, whip up a meal, but I don't want to do the dishes after. It's the worst.
I keep thinking that too as I go through life. I'm like, what would I make do magic? And I realize there's like some technology for everything that I have, but
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like make the vacuum by
Yeah.
itself. And then it's like, oh, well,
Convenience.
there's a Roomba.
Exactly.
Like, and you just don't have it.
Yeah.
But everything is crazy.
I know. And I think the magical, like when I like just set my Roomba up before, and when I use my Roomba, I have to make sure like, everything's off the floor. Like all the big objects, like all Wes's toys are off the floor because it'll like suck up Wes's toys and like won't work. So I have to like pre-clean before the Roomba goes. I'm sure with magic, it like, knows how to navigate a little bit better than me having to pick up. I could just like, clean up and then it'll automatically clean up.
Yeah. Does a spell ever like misfire?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the spoon will just start messing stuff up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. If your wand isn't working very well or you're just not pronouncing it well, like that's why they're in school because they're learning how to like perfect these things. So there's even stuff in the first year when they're learning like Leviosa and like someone sets his feather ablaze because
Oh yeah, like transfiguration
Yeah.
class. That
Exactly.
doesn't go well.
yeah, it doesn't go well at all. And there's other things called vanishing spells, so you can make objects vanish and disappear out of thin air. No idea where they go, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. There's like some hidden like vault, like you have an inventory. When you're playing a video game and it's like your pockets are just it's like that. And they're just like ding, 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 shuffling through the hidden objects. And
I'm
then
gonna get
boom.
into deeper nerddom, and you're gonna be grossed out with this. But wizards have not adopted a ton of technology from Muggles because of magic, obviously. And one that they adopted recently was the toilet. And before they adopted the toilet, they just used vanishing spells. They would poop. They would poop in their pants, and they would vanish it with a spell.
What?
And
No.
I don't know where that went. I think it just went into non-existence. Unless there's like this big inventory of
There's a
someone.
there's a
of
landfill.
just a lot of human
Ew.
feces.
What is this? No, I don't like magic anymore.
I
quit.
I'm done with these books. These are gross.
But there's a good line that one of the twins has when they're breaking Harry out, and he's like, some witches
Yeah.
think that it's not important to use these tools, but we think it's very important. And they like pick the lock.
Yeah, the Weasley twins are the best. They're like out there learning, using Muggle technology to like be able to pick locks and do other things. They're great.
Oh, here we go. A lot of wizards think it's a waste of time knowing this sort of muggle trick, said Fred, but we feel their skills worth learning, even if they are a bit slow. That's so Fred.
Yeah, seriously. They're two of my favorite characters. I love them so much.
I love them too, but there's something about like the older siblings too that they're like more mysterious.
Yeah.
But Fred and George feel like everybody would get along with them. Like
Yeah.
they're just nice guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're definitely like the lively ones of the house. They're definitely like the fun ones.
Yeah.
Their older brothers definitely have more mysteriousness and like intrigue, and there's something unique about them. But we'll get there when we get there. The next chapter is at Flourish and Blotts, and they are in Diagon Alley, and they're going through a few different shops, but excuse me, mainly they're in the bookstore. And there is a list of books that they have to get, and this is the list of books. And my question is, which out of all these books would you want to read the most? Break with Banshee, Gadding with Ghouls, Holidays with Hags, Travels with Trolls, Voyages with Vampires, Wanderings with Werewolves, or Year with the Yeti?
You're with the Yeti.
Me too,
Of
actually.
course. My Yeti heating pad. No, I have so much lore with Bigfoot and I've seen him. I have
Tell
jewelry,
more.
shirts,
Yeah.
stickers, my car. Everybody knows that like
Yeah, the-
Bigfoot's my thing. And like the Yeti is not Bigfoot. They're different. But that would be so fitting. I just would love that.
We're gonna do a whole deep dive podcast on that next,
yeah.
just about Bigfoot lore.
It was better. Like when I had a big group of friends, I would like tell my stories like I was a grandpa, like around a campfire. And like I had all of my friends like on the edge of their seat. But the thing is, nobody actually knew if I was being real or not.
Yep.
So they're like, literally, I would get like pulled aside and then be like, "Do you actually believe in Bigfoot?" And I'd be like, "Did you hear me? Like, hello?" And then everybody was confused. And now it died. Like no one knows that. But I mean, the signs are there.
I had a friend in college on our soccer team, and it was a tradition. His name was Wayne. He was one of my favorite people ever on that team. His name was Wayne, and it was tradition. The first away game of every year, after we wouldn't tell the freshmen this at all, but it was like tradition. After about 20 minutes on the bus, everyone would go quiet, and Wayne would step up and he'd take the microphone and he would go, "All right, everyone, I'm going to give you a presentation on why Bigfoot is real," and dead face for an hour, and he would convince everyone that Bigfoot is real. The whole first 20 minutes are like a joke. Everyone's like, "Wayne, this is so funny," and he's so serious.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about all the signs. He shows us video. He has footage of everything. He's like showing us all the like the Patterson footage, all this other real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, some of this stuff is irrefutable. And about halfway through, people's faces change and they're like laughing, and then people are like actually intrigued in what he says. And then he like people pull him aside after. They're like, "Do you actually think this is real?" And he's like, "What did I just give you an hour presentation on?" And he does the same exact thing. It's like it was his thing, and it was my favorite thing ever on the bus. He convinced me my freshman year. I was sitting there on the bus, and he was like, "All right, everyone, Bigfoot's real. Here are the signs. This is what it is." It was so good.
Yeah, it's just like, how can you not? And then when you actually have the ability to convince people, it's just the best.
Yeah, it really is. Here's back to Harry Potter questions. Harry Potter has a vault full of money, and the Weasleys are really poor. Why doesn't Harry give them a little bit of money?
I don't think he knows how much money he has. Because this, I think, is also because I haven't seen the movie, but at first I was picturing Gringotts and the whole like little carriage ride. Like, what even is that? Is that a carriage? What are those called? Kinda. The mine shaft car. A mine car.
Yeah, mine car, I guess.
I thought when he opened his door to his money, it was like a big walk-in room with like piles of money that are like taller than him. And then I was like, wait, but a deposit box is only a little small box with like the key, and you just get your little like. Did
it say he had a deposit box?
No, it didn't. But I was like imagining it back and forth because I was like either thinking that he walked in and it's like there's just so much money, but if you put any amount of money in coins, it's gonna seem like a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So they said it was a fortune, but I don't know, and I don't think like 12-year-olds have a good concept of money.
Yeah, for sure.
And Ron wouldn't accept it either.
Like, yeah, none of the Weasleys would accept it.
They say that multiple times in the book too, that like he would not. But I don't know, because I feel like if I saw that and I was with my friend, I'd just be like, let me buy everything. Like, everything's on me.
Or just like sneak money in some ways. Like do small little things to sneak money in.
Especially something like a new wand where it's going to last forever.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yep.
I don't know why. He's a jerk.
All right, perfect.
No.
And speaking of jerks, what do you think of Mr. Malfoy? Because he pops up in this chapter and he starts saying some pretty nasty things, and him and Mr. Weasley get in a fist fight.
Can I like pause and like reread this chapter? I need to read.
So Mr. Malfoy is the one that snuck the book, the diary, into Ginny's little thing.
Mm-hmm. Is this one Mr. Malfoy is like being mean to Draco? Is that this
a little
chapter?
bit? Yeah.
Because I really love that. I did not. If that's this, if this is what I think it is, then I didn't mind Mr. Malfoy that much because he was being mean to Draco and putting him in his place.
Yeah.
And if your kid's a bad kid, go ahead. Get on
But you don't
him.
think Draco is bad because his dad is a nasty person?
It doesn't matter if your dad's a nasty person. You shouldn't be a nasty person. And a nasty person can correct another nasty person.
All right, touche.
But I don't think he's like a good person either.
Yeah.
I don't mind the family interactions, but he's not. Like he's mean.
Yeah, he's clearly not a great guy.
No, I don't.
But we do
him.
like that he's like being mean to Draco because Draco needs that.
Oh yeah, anybody being mean to Draco's good. in my book. But yeah, especially like Mr. Weasley is so pure and wholesome.
I know, he really is.
And then it's just the contrast is bad.
I know, it really is. She does things that set up foils and contrasts really well in these chapters, and that's one of my favorite ones, where you're introduced to Mr. Weasley, and then you're introduced to Mr. Malfoy, and you're introduced to these two dads that could not be more different, and it illuminates Mr. Weasley's quality so much more. Like, because you see Mr. Malfoy, you're like, I hate this guy so much. Mr. Weasley's such a good dad. He's over there like talking to Hermione's parents. I'm sure about like dentistry or something. Like, he's so intrigued by whatever they have to say, you know?
Yeah.
He's just like enamored by the Muggle world in the same way that Harry's enamored by the magical world. And it's quite lovely.
Yeah, I love the way he just adopts Hermione and Harry.
Yeah.
And I like that he got in a fist fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. Well done.
Stand up for them.
Good job, Mr. Malfoy. Or not Mr. Malfoy. Good job, Mr. Weasley.
Yeah.
All right, and then chapter 5, the last one, the Whomping Willow. This was funny. When at the beginning of this chapter, I remember asking the original season 1 people what they thought were in the contents of Ginny's diary, because they went back for it. There's a small little subtle note in this when they're taking ministry cars to the King's Cross, and they leave. They go back because Fred and George forgot something. They leave. They go back because Ron forgot something. And they leave, and they're like halfway done, and Ginny screams because she forgot her diary, which is the diary of Tom Riddle. And so they go back and they get the diary. So I remember asking them, "What do you guys think is in the contents of Ginny's diary?"
It has to be just like crushes.
Yeah, 100%. She's writing all about Harry. It's Harry, or it's Ginny Potter. Ginny Potter.
Oh
Ginny Potter.
That is so funny. I used to do that. That's crazy.
Everyone used to do that.
I mean that, and then just like secrets, probably ranting about her brothers.
Yeah.
Like all the normal stuff.
Yep.
I don't think it was that crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't too juicy or anything like
I
that.
don't know. I think it probably would be juicy. I don't think it would be like normal. Just like, dear diary, today I did this. It's definitely like, Ron is so annoying.
Yeah.
Ron did this and I can't get in the bathroom and they take forever and Percy like hurt me. And then of course just like, I love Harry Potter. He came to my house. Like he sat in my chair and like
he's sleeping like one floor above me right now. I can hear him, you know.
Yeah.
It's like all gushing about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Just that.
There's I just came across this line in the 7th one, and I'm just gonna obviously no spoilers, but Harry's looking at something, and he's looking, and he said he's looking at something so intensely that he hopes that by looking at that thing intensely, it'll burrow into the other person's mind, and they'll be thinking of how he's thinking of them. And I'm like, I've done that so much when I was a kid. You're like laying in bed, you're like, maybe if I think about this person really, really hard, they'll know that I'm thinking about them. And like, it's meant to be, you know?
I think that's science. There's something to that.
100%. Yeah, you got to study that.
Yeah. Because there's like stories of people going like, I thought about this exact moment, and then that's when something terrible happened to that person. Real. But you know, you got to use it positively. Yeah. That's real magic.
Yeah, exactly. That's real magic. I love that. Yeah, all the questions that I had in this. What do you think of the Whomping Willow? That's the question.
The chapter art in my book is so good because all the branches are like curled into little fists. And that's like all I can imagine it as.
Yeah.
Like this big tree with these little like, not little, but just like little dinky fists. Just like bop, bop, bop. So cartoonish. I think it's Awesome. I want a Whomping Willow.
I know, right? My favorite tree in the park is the weeping willow at the very end. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that every time I pass it, I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool if there was a whomping willow right next to it. Like rather than like be all droopy, this thing was like all ready to fight. You know, that's kind of how I think of it in my mind. Like the whomping willow is like the depressed tree.
Yeah.
And then right next to it, or the weeping willow is the depressed tree. Right next to it is the whomping willow. That's like you
That's
come
all
near it.
it's
And it's like,
pointing
come here. Yeah, all of its ones are pointing up and it's like ready for a fight.
Maybe you should like go explore that tree and like start like pushing buttons and see if you can turn it into
Yeah, I'll push all the
one.
knobs.
Yeah.
In a sad way, that tree had the spotted lanternflies all infesting it.
Mm.
So there was like a movement of people that would walk by it in the park and we'd kill all the spotted lanternflies on it, but they were running up and down the thing. So someone taught me this one little strategy of taking an empty water bottle and you just put it up to it and they hop in
Yeah.
and then you just screw the cap and you throw it away and you just kill them all. And I would do that and I would leave bottles around and there'd be like bottles of spotted lanternflies lying all over the place because everyone loved that tree. So they're like, we want to keep this one safe.
One time I was walking past this lady and she had like oven mitts on. And
Oh, yeah,
she
yeah.
was slapping
Yep.
all the trees with her kids, and her kids were like, "Mom, what are you doing? Stop!" And she's like oven mitt swatting all the trees. She's like kicking them. She's like, "I'm saving the trees. We're killing the bugs, guys." Yeah, you tell them.
I love, there's one description, I think later in the next chapter or something like that the whomping willow, it was doctored and it was put in like slings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
I
like
love
broke its
that.
arm.
Yeah, I know. I love that so much. Like it's like hurt. It needs a sling for its arm and it's like holding its arm like this for a few weeks before it's like, you know, finally
Yeah.
able to move it. But I love the whomping willow. The idea of the whomping willow, the idea of like herbology in the magical world, I would love to be a part of that as I have all these plants.
Yeah.
And you're like a master gardener yourself, so I think you like that too.
I keep thinking about that. All of herbology and
Yeah.
even potions. I'm like, there's the wizarding world in a big way is dependent on like the plants and the nature too, because
Yeah.
a lot of the potions come from plants.
Yep.
Sprout is like continually making things that people are using in class
Yeah.
or for actual magic.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They'd be the
environmental
best.
science.
I know.
Important. But do you think there's more whomping willows just like out and about?
Yeah, I don't think it's a one-off.
It's transplanted.
Yeah, I think it's a transplant. I think it's I don't know where it's a transplant from. I would say it's a transplant from Japan.
What?
Because I think
I don't know where, but Japan.
specifically Okinawa, Japan, right here. No, because there's something about Japanese tree maintenance that I
bonsai?
love, and this is probably just my personal headcanon, my personal head lore is I like to think that whomping willows could only exist in places that truly care for plants and truly care for like these beautiful trees. And I love the bonsai idea of like these people who take care of these trees for literally generations, like families are taking care of these bonsai trees. And like if I remember that there was one person who was like, literally you put these ones in slings, and there's like they build I saw this one thing a few weeks ago. It was like this tree had like a huge branch coming out of it, and rather than like cut it off, which is what we would do in America, these people put like this almost bench that was like enveloping the whole thing. They created this thing that was like a sling, a massive sling for this tree. So my headcanon is I think these things exist, and I think I would probably say they're Japanese, and they probably transplant on this one from like a little seed.
So, do you think they womp and they're like when they're not transplanted?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
They're not just angry that they're not home?
Maybe that's
Do
maybe.
the other willows not womp?
Yeah, these whomping willows are just willows that have been transplanted from their home,
Yeah.
and they're just so mad that they just start whomping.
Womp womp.
Womp womp womp.
Maybe, or like, do they like cut them into the fists and the arms, and like they create the whomping willow? Like by the art of bonsai, it
I love that.
becomes that.
Ooh, I love that.
And then that's why like it breaks and they have to like fix it and hold it back and get it back into its beautiful place.
Lizzie, you're creating new headcanon for me. I love that. that they actually are able to create these Whomping Willows.
Yeah, it's like curating
Dang.
and like pruning it into the Whomping Willow.
I love that. I'm into that. I feel like Asians are best at that too. Like my favorite fruit is, well, not my favorite, but one of my favorites is the Asian pear. The apple pear. It's like so good. It's the best. People can do that crazy cool stuff.
A lot of I see this in their Asian videos, but like they'll shape fruit and just like put it into certain shaped containers and stuff, and then you just grow like a heart-shaped watermelon, which is cool. I've grown like things accidentally through my fence, and then I'll have like half a cucumber in and half out, and then when it's done I just like break it. Chomp.
You start growing them in shape fences. You're gonna have a lattice shaped cucumber.
Yeah, I gotta start my fruit shaping venture.
All right, let's go over what was your favorite moment in these 5 chapters, and who was your favorite character?
Oh my goodness, this is hard. My favorite moment. This is like not possible.
I'm gonna go over mine. I'll do mine, and then maybe it'll jog your memory. Mine is like a cheap one, but it's every moment that they spend at the burrow, because I love the burrow so much. It's just this house held up by magic, and there is so much quaintness to this house, but I love it so much. I want to live there so bad. It's just this, you could tell it's like old TLC. It's like this just beautiful house that is nearly falling down, but just held up by magic and held up by love. And I love all the Weasleys so much. So it's just like, this house of love. I love it. And then I think my favorite character is probably Mr. Weasley in this whole thing. I think he has a great stretch of 5 chapters.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Mrs. Weasley getting mad at them.
Nice.
That's my favorite part. Yeah. And then my favorite character is Mrs. Weasley.
Mrs. Weasley's favorite? I like it.
Yeah, that was a good part.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us on this podcast. Thanks for joining us on Harry Potter and the Second Time Reader.